Hey, what's up, everybody? This is a pre-recording video I'm going to put before the following Toxic Reality Radio Special Edition show that comes after this. But something transpired over the last day that was unexpected and totally uncalled for, if you ask me. Now, what had happened here is, okay, message straight to you, Donny. You were apparently hit up by a certain someone, and your followers know who. I'm not going to say who, but you were hit up by someone that's been hitting you up for the last couple of years. And they mentioned that you were seen somewhere in Long Beach, correct? Okay. What apparently has happened is this person who is a part of a Facebook group where I am also a member must have seen my post about you that I made a week ago. You see, I was the one who seen you in Long Beach. I was the one who just happened to be over at Shoreline Village walking around and happened to walk over by the aquarium. And seen you, noticed you, didn't pay any mind much to you and stuff because I wasn't alone, but just happened to, when I came back, I happened to mention that I did see you. And when we were walking back the other direction, you were gone. Why you were gone, I have no idea. But from what I gather, what you told other people, something about being confronted and so on and so forth, I didn't see anything. I didn't see what you describe. But I'm not saying that, I'm not calling you a liar. I'm just saying I didn't see it. However, I was curious to know where you had gone, and then I mentioned it to the person I was with walking, and we happened to look down the direction and stuff and happened to see you walking off, you know, carrying a suitcase. So I just kind of laughed it off. You know, hey, if I was alone, maybe I would have walked up to you and said, what's up, you know, made a fun thing. I don't know. Who knows what had happened. It was unexpected, totally unexpected. I already knew you were in the area, but I totally didn't expect to see you. So, what I'm trying to say with this is, the way you have, over the years, tagged myself and others to one individual, and every time this individual happens to talk out and speak out and stuff, you basically bring the whole ring of people. In other words, guilty by association, right? And I know, you know, this goes far back, blah, 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 to when I did a radio show with them, everything. But see, the thing is that was it. It was that, and that was it. Everything after that has, everybody is basically on their own. You understand? Simply, if you've had issues with somebody and you have had a back and forth communication with that, it's because that's who you're dealing with, that one person, not a group of people. Your claims of in the past, it used to be atheists, satanic worshippers. You know, you called me that. The only reason this radio show is being done too, stuff, is because I'm taking offense to what you calling myself and others as pedophiles, being that you do group up, being that when you do say the trolls or the usual suspects and stuff, I am included in this group. So I take it personal, and I take offense to being called a pedophile out there when I have a son, you know, and that's your problem. Straight out, your problem is that you lash out in the wrong way. You make assumptions, and you take deep steps into deep waters that you can't swim in. And then when the lashing comes back, because you've already caused it, you start swinging and fighting and stuff, and make things worse instead of just stepping back, saying, hey, maybe I shouldn't say these things, And everybody gets mad, but you always want to get mad and everybody's supposed to understand it. Well, that only goes so far. So, just want to be clear, I'm the one that's seeing you at Long Beach. There's nobody that I know of that's after you. If you wanted to do a sit-down outside somewhere in a neutral area and do this a challenge that, this radio show that's following this recording is all about, I'd be more than willing to do it. You ain't got to be scared of me, all right? I'm not a little kid. I'm not a gang stalker either, okay? I don't know where you got that title from. Somebody must have fed you that line out because you've now transferred everybody to a gang stalker. There is nothing that is after you. There is nobody that is after you. As I have said before, it's not that big of a deal what you're doing. Bottom line, people are after you is because you've called them out. Bottom line, people try to get you, in other words, try to tell you things because you're stating outrageous information as fact. You're taking theories and saying they are fact. That's the only thing that people have issues with, and you don't seem to understand that. It doesn't go any farther than that. There's no conspiracy. I'm sure there's no FBI or anything after you. I don't care how much people feed you the information. So that's all I got to say. So the following recording is a show that was pre-recorded a few days ago, actually, when I caught wind that the pedophile thing was being talked about, and I happened to see Truth Researcher online and decided to hit him up and ask him a question about how he felt about it. And that's what transpired. So the facts are there about what reality is. Everything else is made up. You have a good day.
Hey, welcome everybody to a special edition of Toxic Reality Radio. I'm your host, Adam, also known as Pharaoh, with my good co-host, Sam Morelli, here on the side. How you doing, Sam?
Good. Hello, everyone.
What's up, everybody? This is a special edition, like I said, and the reason this show is special is because I have two very special guests on with me today. And before I get into what this is all about, I want to go over a few things that will shed some light as to why this show is actually special and why it needed to be necessary. Some of you who have followed me for some time know about my experience with a certain ex-YouTuber, wannabe truther, so-called researcher, and I will emphasize the so-called because it's his favorite thing to say. Things need to be stretched out when the truth needs to be stretched on things. And I'm really stretching it now, calling him a researcher. I'm talking about Mr. Donny Gillson. Now, to get straight to the facts, Mr. Gillson over time has made some grand accusations that have included me. After being on very early episodes of his radio show as a guest and participant, I fell into the bad side, his bad side, simply because I felt that he treated people unfairly, and I decided to give these people a chance to tell their side of the story. Because we all know if it's not his story, it must be BS. Which brings me to my guests today. Both my guests have had long, drawn-out conflicts with Mr. Gillson. Both conflicts all starting simply because these two individuals merely made comments questioning the validity of some claims on some of his YouTube videos. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce and welcome a good friend now, truth researcher, and on the other end, we have Lady Harley Rider. How you guys doing?
Hello, Adam. Hello. Nice to be
Hi,
here.
Adam. Good to be here.
Definitely good. We got some. We got a long distance call on here. That's for sure. With the TR here. That is definitely some long distance. Now we're talking. You're like after hours now, for this particular call, right?
Yeah, it's about 3:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Wow.
So, like I said, this needed to get done, and there's some urgency behind this, simply because there was some accusations made over the last few months that I overheard, and I literally reached out to TR and just kind of asked him his opinions were, what he was basically saying. And ever since then, we've had this ongoing talk and stuff, and we decided that it was time for certain things to be aired. So, TR, if you want to go ahead and talk your side of the story of what's happened and what's been going on, I know you have a lot to say.
Well, as you know, for about a year now, Mr. Gillson has subjected myself, and obviously not just me but many folk, but he's subjected myself to a continuous campaign of abuse and harassment. And for the entire year, I haven't said anything. I produced videos but haven't said anything. But given the gravity of some of the things he's now saying, it's about time that we put an end to this. So I want to challenge Donny on all the allegations. I want to speak to Donny face to face, confront the man, and settle the score once and for all.
Right. Now, I do understand that there was some conversation that kind of went back and forth there for a while, where he actually came back and said that, he would be more than happy to do a face-to-face with you, but it was going to be on probably an X-radio show that he used to be on, which I'm pretty sure that wouldn't even fly. I think he was just blowing smoke, if you ask me. But we'll see if this actually happens, to see if this challenge is actually accepted. I'm really looking forward to see what happens.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I did offer to go and, is it Kyler Davenport? I did say that we'd go on to Kyler Davenport's show, but Kyler Davenport subsequently posted on Donny's Facebook page that he was a close and old friend.
Oh, yeah.
So that negated any neutrality there.
Right.
And when I actually spoke to Kyler, he was more interested in the sensationalistic aspect rather than any context. So that again ruled it out for me.
Right.
As far as Proof is concerned, I believe Proof runs Freedomizer. Again, Donny wanted me to contact Proof to organise some show, but I believe that was merely so that Donny could then direct the flow of the argument. I don't want to give Donny that privilege either. So the situation still stands. I sent Donny an open letter. I still want to face Donny a head-to-head, live on air, in a neutral platform with a neutral chair.
Mm-hmm.
That way Donny cannot manipulate, mute, act in any puerile fashion or any infantile fashion. And if he's a true researcher, as he says he is, I'm qualified. If he is, we can then approach things methodologically. And I'm up for it, so I'm just waiting to hear what Donny has to say.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we'll see how that goes when this actually gets out there and he gets to listen to it. Now, aside from some of these claims of obviously the astronomical stuff, all that crazy stuff that goes out on the air that he puts out.
Easy.
Obviously, he's been calling you some pretty horrendous things.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's called me quite a few things actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been promoted in the last year, so I mean, initially I began as the generic troll. Mm-hmm. To give you some context, I first encountered Donny in the fall of 2011, and I simply asked a rather courteous question, I might add. Donny, why are you lying to folk about the direction of the sun in Antarctica? A really simple question, and he was telling folk it was going the wrong way. It wasn't that he was making a mistake, he was deliberately telling folk it was going the wrong way.
Right.
And the more I watched this particular video, the lower my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe that this man had the effrontery to tell people, look, the sun's going the wrong way. Yeah. So, as I say, I left a comment and I was banned, blocked.
Right away.
Straight away.
Yeah, like the majority of a lot of people that started out that way. I happened to start that way too, and I was blocked.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is, as soon as I was blocked, he then made a comment in response. He had denied me a right to reply but was brave enough to then make a comment. So that was fair enough. That was fine. We left it at that. Now, about 2 months passed, and to be honest, I have no interest in Donny's drivel. It is drivel. So 2 months passed, and then I happened to come upon another video, and this time he was blatantly lying once again. So I decided to make my very first YouTube video, calling Donny out on this blatant lie. Not only was it a blatant lie, he was manipulating his audience. He was exploiting his audience. So anyway, I posted the video on the 19th of March. The video was then DMCA'd on the 19th of March. It didn't even stay up 12 hours.
Now, for people who don't know what DMCA is and stuff, that's basically Donny filed a copyright claim against TR, saying that he was using his content, correct?
Yeah, it was the first of 10 that Donny's filed against me to block exposure.
Right.
The actual video, I mean, I might add as well that all 10 videos were subsequently restored by YouTube. Donny basically has no idea what copyright is. Donny made the mistake of assuming that he knew everything about copyright. I actually work in copyright, so he was flogging a dead horse there.
Right.
But putting that to the side, what Donny then did was, as far as I was concerned, reprehensible. Having blocked, or from his point of view, having blocked my right to reply on any of his channels, and having DMCA'd a video to divert attention away from the fact he was basically a manipulative liar. He then went on his radio show, or should I say radio blog, and then basically started to badmouth me. Right? Now, he claims to be a professional broadcaster. I have yet to meet a professional broadcaster who would actually abuse the position to do such things. Anyway, that was just the first of many times he's gone on air and said things. I mean, he's made videos about me. He's called me a troll. I've been called a shill. Apparently, I'm a government agent. Again, I would love to know what government that is. I've been promoted to a child molester. Sorry, not a child molester, a child groomer. Apparently, I'm a pedophile like everyone else.
Right.
And recently, in the last few days, I'm now part of this gang stalking thing as well.
Oh, yeah.
Now, these are all acts of desperation from a man who fears exposure. Now, I'll say this directly to Donny. Donny, you are a liar. You are a charlatan. You are a nefarious git. And I'm afraid you have made it personal between you and I.
And I'm sure a lot of people, and we have some, I think, audio, or some of these people who have actually probably watched this and stuff know of some of the past confrontations that Donny has put out there, challenges and stuff, and then he's brought people on the air, and like you say, has control over everything. Back to Facts was one gentleman that I remember that he got on the air. I don't know how that worked. If
yeah, he treats people abhorrently. Right. He is a disgusting man. He's an odious man. He claims to be a Christian and a warrior of Jesus. He's no Christian.
Nope.
He's no warrior of Jesus. He only uses religion when religion suits Donny.
That's right.
But Donny is an evil man. Donny is a narcissist. Donny really needs to be put in jail or institutionalized again.
Again,
absolutely. So yeah, this is just something that's just gotten blown out, and I know between Lady Harley Ryder and TR, I think you guys were probably the ones that were probably targeted the most out of all of them. I know that there were some along the way, but it seems that this battle has just been the biggest. So what else has gone on as far as let's talk about some of this copyright stuff. So for people who don't know, again, the DMCAs, when somebody could go out and say that, oh, well, you're using my material or something like that, and then they file it against you, but then that person who gets filed, or they get filed against, they could counter it and say, well, no, I say no to this. I did not do what this person is saying. Now that other person has to basically come up with facts or come up with something to back him up that says that he does own a copyright, correct? Am I wrong in saying that?
Can I interject here?
Go ahead, lady.
Being a paralegal, I can tell you what has to happen. Once the claim is countered, the person who filed the claim then has to go to federal court and file a lawsuit. Provide that paperwork to YouTube, and then they take it from there. But he has to literally go and file in a court. It's the burden of proof on the person who filed the original complaint, not the person responding to it, the person who filed the original complaint. He has to go to court. He has to file a federal lawsuit claiming that his copyrighted material was protected. Gillson does not want to go to court because, first of all, they'd listen to him for 5 minutes and they'd probably lock him up. Second of all, he has no real copyright claim because under Title 17 of USC, the things that are used of his videos, if anybody ever does use them, which, by the way, I never did, Title 17 of the USC, the United States Code, says that you can use the material, clips of that material, for education, for criticism, for comment. The list, it's a long list of things you can use it for. And it also says that personal use tips in the balance of fair use.
Absolutely.
So he has no claim whatsoever.
Right. So basically it was an attempt for him just to have a tantrum, go out and make trouble for you, particularly because I know you basically had your channel shut down.
It was an attempt to silence people who could prove him wrong. That's all it was, pure and simple.
It bought him some time. I'll
Right.
give you an example. Right, way back at the beginning of last year, for folk that don't know, there's a chap on YouTube called T-Bar.
Oh, yes.
And way back at the beginning of last year, Donny posted a video, and it was the Hawaii telescope, and there was a piece of footage, and Donny was going into one of these, these huge routines of his research, blah blah blah, and he was using this piece of footage that he'd taken that day. But the piece of footage, what he didn't realise was in the bottom right hand corner, it was dated a year earlier. So he was trying to pass off a piece of 2011 data as 2012. Now T-Bar called him out on that, and I called him out on that.
Right. So
nothing happened to T-Bar, but he DMCA'd my video.
You DMCA'd your video, and he called TR. I think he took something that TR said and twisted it completely upside down and made him look
what he
like a bad
done
guy.
was he managed to divert attention away from the fact he was lying again. That bought Donny some time. Donny then went on to Freedomizer and made some excuse. Right? He said something along the lines of, "I was very tired and didn't realise blah blah blah." But what he did with the actual video, during the course of the video, he read the timestamp out. But when he got to the date, he paused because he realised the date was visible. So he's now went on Freedomizer. He's blocked my video. People can't see the truth. He's now gone on Freedomizer. He's made up this mad excuse to try and cover the fact that he's basically a deceptive liar. He's then produced another video using exactly the same footage, claiming it's genuine, but all he's done this time is blurred the date so that no one can see it.
Oh, wow. I wasn't even aware of that.
Well, I made a subsequent video, But he stoops at nothing. He is willing to deceive. And I really don't understand why the people who follow Donny don't ask questions. They believe everything blindly. Donny says God's standing in front of you. They believe it,
Right.
Do these people not have any self-respect?
I think I'm not. I don't know what other people think, but I could just my thoughts behind it, and Sam, you could tell me if I'm right or wrong. I mean, I think what people see is when this guy comes out, he claims he's a Freemason, he's a 32, everything that he's ever claimed that he is, right? And ex-radio broadcaster, the guy has a knack for being able to talk on the air, whether he was an ex-broadcaster or not. But I think people just get drawn to him for whatever reason.
Yeah, and he's going to say, well, it's all radio entertainment, and I'm just an entertainer.
That has been, but that's what's happened with me. You know, it makes good radio. You know, but as soon as things are flipped, then it's a total attack on him. But the fact here is, behind all of this, is just when people who know what's going on, this is like peer review in a sense. You know, if you're going to put your stuff out there on YouTube, on a public place, you're going to have to expect for people to come in and criticize it.
Yeah.
That goes with every single freaking foundation of science that exists today, you know? But since, I mean, it just happens to be that this guy has been able to, I'm going to say it, he just stumbles into things haphazardly, and it just manages to get up in the right place, I guess, and people say, oh, hey, man, we want you to come over here and talk on our radio show. We understand that you know all this other stuff. And, oh, yeah, I know all this stuff, you know, and comes in there and shoots the shit and makes people believe everything up until people really get to know who he is. And then everything goes south.
And
I think we call it a house of cards, though. It's a house of cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the problem with his talking all of his stuff. He claims to be an astronomer. He claims to be a researcher. He claims all these things, and he claims that everything he's found is actual fact, when in fact, he isn't an astronomer. He isn't a researcher. And in fact, Donny, I challenge you, because I know you'll listen to this, I want to know where you studied astronomy. I want to know what your degree in astronomy is. I want to know where you did your internship, and I want to know who taught you how to interpret Skyview and WISE telescope data.
Right.
Answer me that, Donny. I have a bachelor's of science in astronomy.
Well, he's created a lot of things, so he could probably create, you know, a diploma in something if he's very creative. I mean, we all know that.
Because he stepped foot in, into a university and stuff, he'll claim he went there 4 years. That's just, I know how it is.
Well, his master's degree is an example of that. He's got his master's, then he's working on his master's. Now he's going back to school to finish up some courses so he can start his master's. Make up your mind, Donny.
Right.
His only consistency is his inconsistency.
Absolutely. So, well, okay, to go back on TR, I mean, what else did you want to talk about as far as some of the stuff that's gone on lately?
Let's deal with the basic things first. Let's deal with the idea of me being a troll.
Yeah.
I have never, in all the time I've been acquainted with Donny, I have never been able to comment on his channels. Now, I understand that to be a troll, I would have to have that ability. I don't have it, never have had it. So, I would like Donny to tell me how I'm a troll. I have lots of documents here sitting in front of me now that prove that Donny has trolled my channels. I have personal messages that Donny has sent me. I have abusive comments that Donny has sent me. But it seems that I am the troll. Right. I can't comment on his channel. So I would like him to tell me how I am the troll. He says every time he has the evidence, so please show me, I want to see it. I would also ask the folk listening out there, if someone was to go on radio or go on air and say that you were a pedophile and you were a child groomer, knowing that there's some people out there, vigilantes, who would quite happily take this information and go and do something stupid, would you be happy to sit back? Now,
it's very serious stuff,
It's incredibly serious, and he's tired. We can't be government chills one minute and then a network of child pedophiles the next. You can't have it all ways. This man is a dangerous man, and he needs to be stopped.
Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of one reason I've stuck to this. Even though I stood quiet for a long time, I did come out when he personally put stuff out, pertaining to me. Other than that, I stood quiet. But honestly, it just goes too far. Yeah. It's just really ridiculous.
It would be different if you were just neighbors, and back and forth outside the window. But he has a pretty wide, broad bullhorn,
Well, the other thing is, the other thing to bear in mind is he has my name and address.
Ah, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
When he filed the DMCAs, unlike Donny, I didn't perjure myself with false information. I used my real name and address. When I finally had enough and filed 2 DMCAs against him, he perjured himself twice by using 2 fake addresses. That's why I had him kicked off YouTube. Not once, but 3 times. So, just to be clear so that everyone knows, and I want people out there to know it, whatever Donny Gillson says about his YouTube termination, I had him booted. Right? He lied. He was booted for severe violation of terms of service on account of abuse, harassment, abusing the DMCA protocols, and for committing perjury. So whatever he says is lies. He was booted because he caused the problem.
And can I interject here?
Sure.
By all means.
I had him booted from my career. It was me that contacted Proof and told him about the threats and the harassment and the ongoing name calling. It was me that was in contact with Proof and said, hey, you've got to stop this, because by the very fact that you remain silent, you are putting forth the appearance that Freedomizer Radio condones what he's doing. The last message I got from Proof said, and I quote, give me 2 weeks, I'm looking for someone to fill his spot. Surprisingly enough, that following Monday, Donny was off the air. He can say what he will about his resignation, but I think the last two sentences in the last letter I got from Proof are pretty telling. He said, and I quote, I don't care what he wants to claim. I'm just glad that he's gone and it's over.
Wow. I never knew that.
I've seen those emails, so I can verify what Lady's saying.
Now, needless to say,
the other thing is, sorry, Adam.
Go ahead, TR.
If any of your listeners want to check this information for themselves, it's widely available. If they go to any of my YouTube channels, any Truth Researcher channel, they can go and find out the real reason why Donny was kicked from YouTube. The documents are there.
That's right.
Yeah, he's not freely posting that information anywhere, so we don't.
Well, don't you find it interesting though that as soon as his channel went down, he posted everywhere his open letter to YouTube, which clearly states that his channel was terminated, and I quote, due to extreme terms of service violation for wrongful DMCA copyright flagging. Now, you will never hear him finish that sentence. He always stops at extreme terms of service. He never tells you why, but it's in black and white. It's on my blog. It's on before it's news. It's there to be seen.
Yeah. The thing that's really scary about that whole false DMCA thing, too, is he turned on, I don't know how many people, other people who were supporting him at the time, who were also doing YouTube videos, to do the same thing. You know, there's people out there who are false claiming DMCA on other people just because they used their voice or they used a picture they did on their video. And now those people, if they follow through, they're going to wind up in a bunch of trouble themselves.
Well, and he took it a step beyond that. As you well know, my channel was shut down because he got his little followers to go and flag across the board every video I had up.
Right.
We know it. He admitted it on the air.
Yes, there is actual recording of that thing, of him saying, we succeeded, or what was the words?
Yeah.
I asked you to do it. You did what you had to do.
Yeah,
that's something he does all the time. Whenever anyone poses a threat to Donny, he will go out his way to make sure he either mentions you in a video or mentions you in a radio broadcast, either directly or by association. He will even ask you to go and visit this person's channel or that person's channel. He'll never do it himself.
Nope.
He will try and incite others into some sort of criminal activity rather than do it himself.
And what these people don't understand is that by going and filing these false false flags, they're also opening themselves up to perjury. And believe me when I say it'll only take one court order from YouTube, and you can have every name of every person that flagged any of your videos, and they are now open to perjury. That is a federal offense.
Yeah. But see, this is a game to him.
Oh yeah.
This is a huge game to him. He doesn't understand any of that, you know.
Well, you need to be aware that when you're, doing what he does, that people are affected.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think he understands full well what he's doing.
Well, I think so too. And as I said earlier on, it's a house of cards, and that house of cards is about to fall.
Right. Right.
Enough is enough. No more.
Well, he seems to find a platform in which to,
Yeah, well, I mean,
broadcast.
that's fine. He probably will always find platforms.
Yeah.
But Donny's problem is he can't keep his mouth shut.
That's right.
Donny will get himself into trouble. We don't have to debunk Donny. Donny does it himself.
Yeah, he does.
He's a compulsive liar. He's lied so much he cannot even be consistent with his own stories now. There are threads loose everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, people who have learned, to read him, very easy to hear when he's about to, or when he knows he's dwelling over something that he's already lied about, is when he starts to stutter, and he starts to and then he just changes the topic altogether, or manages to get away from it. But I just don't understand how a person could just, grab something so minute, a fact, and stretch it so far that it just, you're going to have people speak up. It's bound to happen. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Adam, it's the oldest trick in the book in terms of research. You decide what it is. You decide what the answer is before you begin, and then you just find everything to fit it. Right? Donny spent an entire year. Right? He spent an entire year telling everyone about Nibiru and the Nibiru system, and every time he would say to everyone in his broadcast, the definitive proof, the final proof, years of research, this is the final proof, exclusive this, exclusive that. And then when he got called out, it was a hoax, didn't exist.
Right.
So and all that proof,
right.
Where did it go?
And mind you, everything, especially things like Nibiru and stuff, he had to grab on what somebody else told him, just like some of these other words that he uses and stuff. But for example, the whole Nibiru thing, when Alfred Weber came out and said, well, Nibiru, we all know that Zachariah Stitchin was a psyop and so on and so forth. Oh, yeah, he held on to that really quick and stuff, with Terrell. When Terrell started calling his theory heavy mass object, Donny grabbed onto that and made it his own. Mm-hmm. Everything, even now with this whole gang stalker thing. Oh, okay. The gang stalker term, since it came from Chris Geo.
Yeah, but the Nibiru thing, I mean, that was the pin, the tail, and the donkey school of astronomy. It was everywhere. Nibiru was everywhere. Every quadrant in space, there was Nibiru. Right? Absolutely everywhere. It was every size. It was every speed. It was everywhere. And then when it was finally the hoax, it suddenly became Herculobus. Mm-hmm. And suddenly, within 7 days, Donny is now regurgitating the same stuff. Take out the word Nibiru, insert the word Herculobus. And if you haven't noticed in the last few weeks or the last month or so, Nibiru seems to be creeping back in because he's forgotten again.
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
Right? The man has no idea. He has absolutely no concept of astronomy whatsoever. Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that really, I mean, I'm not an astronomer, right? Mm-hmm. And I said this. I was talking to a lady the other night there. What the abuse that I got is fair enough, right? I can handle it, right? But T-Bar spent 40 years in the United States Navy as a navigator, serving his country. Whether you agree with war or not, put that to the one side. He served 40 years as a navigator, and Donny Gillson, who had some discharge for mental health or whatever, basically said things to T-Bar which were reprehensible, calling him various names on air, this, that, and the next thing. Donny Gillson should be ashamed of himself. Donny Gillson is an embarrassment to the United States. Yeah. And the sooner that the United States authorities deal with Donny Gillson, the better America will be.
Yeah.
I really don't like Donny Gillson. I think that comes across, doesn't it? Well, I mean, the other thing as well is Donny must have thought I was one of these people that would go away and fade away into the distance. Well, Donny, you were wrong. I ain't going to fade away.
Most of them do just fade away.
No, well, Every one of my videos states at the beginning that I will defend myself vigorously. Vigorously
Yes.
means vigorously.
Yeah.
I am a Scotsman. We're a hardy bunch.
And you know, he wants to. Well, this one obviously is personal, but I hate to say it and stuff. There's so many other people out there that are doing similar things and stuff, and are calling other people that they're trolls, and it's a vicious circle. If these people would just, for once, I mean, I wouldn't doubt if Donny would have asked maybe T-Bar for his opinion of something. I'm sure T-Bar would have been, you know, good with telling, you know, letting him know what he thought and giving him the right information, informed, you know. But that's not his thing, because now it's basically, or it's always been this way, it's his truth or nothing. If you don't agree with him, then you're asked out, you know. It's nobody's going to take him away from his truth. But the thing is that how do you verify your truth? Just because you just thought up of a freaking idea, then all of a sudden it's just true? No.
Yeah. It's not just true because you say it is.
Right. I mean, you know what? You must. I have to say it directly to him. It's like, I mean, what kind of your parents taught you this way? Did your grandmother, did she fill you with this sort of information? And now it's cool, you know, if parents tell you, you know, wish and dream all you want, and everything that you could dream and stuff will come true, which is super fine and stuff. But in the real world, you gotta come back down to earth, man. You know, and deal with things head on. You just can't hide away from them and just keep calling people names as you run away.
Well, that's what I've always said about him. I mean, you know, I don't never have really direct contact with him back and forth as you guys have had on issues, but you know, you can't expect, you know, to have a normal conversation with someone like that unless he's having it with himself.
Right.
And you know, the madness will just spiral and continue. And I would hope he would come to his senses at some point and just say, hey, you know. Look in the mirror, or you know, have some reflection, or you know, take some advice. He seems to be on his own, you know.
No, Donny is a hustler, and he needs an angle. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. He's an ego-driven narcissist. He's a hustler. He needs an angle. Simple as that.
Yeah, he's admitted to having an ego, that's for sure, and it shows.
He will never change. He wants to be special.
Yes. Right. And like I said in my video, you're nothing special.
He needs adoration. He needs to be the center of attention.
Right.
I mean, who else refers to themselves in the third person?
And it's the attention, yeah. That's the key.
Yeah,
word.
I mean, have you read any of the? I mean, they've all been. Well, I can't see them anymore. But the Before It's news articles, where he refers to himself in the third person.
Right.
Like Donny Gillson, famous researcher and stuff like that, or Donny Gillson, journalist.
It could be one of these dimensional things he's been recently experiencing. So I hear.
That's true.
There's supposedly, I just caught a clip of what he mentioned on his last show, something about a third or fourth dimension, and
13th.
His belief is that it's probably unlimited dimensions.
He's up to 13 now.
Yeah, this is 13th dimension, right?
We stopped at 13.
And basically, he is somehow he has managed to change technology and say that digital cameras capture light from other dimensions. Okay.
Wow.
A lens flare cannot just be a lens flare.
No,
a lens flare has to be something else.
It's a planet.
I mean, it's a planet. Yeah, it's a planet. It has to be a source of light that existed there at some time, maybe in the future, maybe in a different dimension. I don't know. Why can't a lens flare just be a lens flare, dude? It's just it's a reflection off the freaking lens of a light. You wear glasses. You should know this. You know, you get
that would be
reflection on your
fun.
glasses.
But you know, the thing is, he does know it.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
He does know it, but he's talking to an audience of, okay, I'll be an audience of innocence, right?
Yes.
People looking for answers, people who are frightened, and Donny's exploiting that.
Right.
Most people know nothing about astronomy, so when Donny comes out with some convoluted claptrap, they believe it.
Right.
Because they don't know anything better. Donny is using his audience for his own self-interest, and that in itself is abhorrent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
the
agree
man
with
has
that.
no shame. He has no shame.
I definitely agree with that because simply, like you say, there's people out there. Not a lot of people have strong minds like we do. There's people out there, literally, that are slow-minded. They tend to believe a lot of stuff that they resources and they're half of them are TV programmed.
Right.
And
right.
It's critical. It's very critical if you take a platform and a format of a radio show, and yeah, it may just be internet radio, but do you know how many people you're capable of reaching?
Exactly.
And those minds are, molded into information they get, and we're wired to believe.
Right.
And that's in all of us. So people like that have to be careful. I don't think I personally think he's reckless. And I've warned it to others. I've warned it to other people with networks. And, I didn't send out flyers and post them everywhere on it. I'm private and like to stay things private in a sense, until it affects me.
Right.
But I just warn people,
And you've been, guilty by association.
Oh yeah, usual suspects and all that stuff.
Even though he doesn't, you never cause any issues and stuff. You've always been on the DL over there wherever you go in the chat rooms because you have friends over there and stuff. So
yeah, he doesn't need to communicate with me because he's already got me in. I worship the evil pharaoh, and I'm one of your followers, and
that's right.
So I'm guilty by association. You're right.
Just like everybody else in the past, when everybody just fell under the whole troll title, just because you're friended with Zombie and Zombie's friended with Foghaze, so all you guys are in cahoots with each other. Right. I mean, come on, really? Anyway,
at the same time, on the internet, it doesn't take long for things to get around, in groups or just sharing and information, and that's the marvel of it. It's the good thing.
Right.
And you start tangling a web like someone like him does, and then not expect to have people, retaliate.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, to go back to the troll thing, I'm just looking at some of Donny's trolly things here. Now, about a year ago, Donny stopped posting. Well, about 8 months ago, Donny stopped posting in my channels because he realised I took screen grabs of everything and used them against him in videos. Mm-hmm. But unbeknown to him, I had copies of some of his earlier stuff.
Right.
So he used to send things. This is just some of Donny's stuff he sent me. Some of it's the milder stuff. So this is one, Usruadams to me, on my channel. Just love it. I am silent and the you of suspects hop on my every word. Controlled you are. What does that mean?
Wow.
Then I've got, your ship is going down. Not too many people agreeing your little witch hunt anymore. TR. He he he.
Wow.
But see,
mind of a genius.
But see, you continue to make stupid videos about me and see back to facts which I never stated you were the same people. I said you were all working together. That's a lie, actually. He made a video where he said we were the same people. Just another twist you like to put in, LOL. But see, you are a simple man. That is okay. Soon you will wake up and we will all be working together. I foresee it, smiley face. Wonder why the campaign Back to Facts has stopped. Because I am right. Find the Lord, my dear friend. Now, just to give you some context there, Back to Facts, for folk that don't know, Back to Facts had a run-in with Donny. And basically Donny targeted Back to Facts channel. It was closed down. Back to Facts got a bit fed up, so he went away for about 3 weeks. And then he decided to come back as Leo Rising Dragon. So while Donny was basically trolling this particular channel, or my channel, this particular video, he didn't realise that I was talking to Back to Facts at the same time. So Back to Facts wrote back to Donny, wrong dumbass. I left and took a break from your bullshit. Oh, you have facts, yes, but then you throw in your delusions and nonsense. Donny, I am reading these comments and you have no idea what I have learned or who I am. I like your friend, but you're a whole different story. I still despise your deception and lies, and will be making a video soon to let others know the truth and where I stand. You're not in my circle nor invited into it. Perils to swine, Donny, perils to swine. Now, the whole reason that this thread of comments began, Donny posted a comment which stated words to the effect of, just letting you know that Back to Facts is in our camp now. He just came over to cause trouble. That's
Right.
what a troll does.
Absolutely.
People don't understand. That is what a troll does. Donny Gillson is an internet troll. I have loads of these comments. I have personal I will publish them all in PDF format. Everyone can see them.
Yeah,
I will
he's not
publish all my
expecting that.
emails to YouTube, to the legal department, to the copyright department. I will publish everything because I have the proof. Donny has nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his lesson should be that, not everyone out there is gullible and naive and...
I mean, I hate to sound angry. I mean, I'm not angry as such. I mean, Scots can be quite aggressive. But I mean, here's another one. Remember I said he deletes comments. This is Usruadams again. Ha ha ha. He deleted my comment because he knows I am right. Now, all these comments, Donny actually deleted them. They're no longer there. Everyone's gone. Sucks to be without Christ, does it?
Yeah.
And,
Pharaoh, that reminds me of the dancing frog. What was that little skit or whatever? I mean, isn't it just like that, though? I swear to God, I know I saw he was dancing. He was right there. He was, as soon as they turn their back or turn around,
Didn't I make a video that started that? Yeah, I did. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
I made a video with the dance with Michigan J Frog.
But he posted on my Facebook page as well. But rather than leave the post there, he deleted it again. But he must have took a screen grab because he then put it back on his Facebook page to make it look as though he had posted on my Facebook page.
Oh, he's
If you
very
follow the
crafty.
logic there.
Yeah, he's crafty, all right.
Yeah.
Right, now this is the post on the Facebook page. Again, this is what a troll does. They go somewhere else to post comments. So this is Don Adams on my Facebook page. Hey, idiot. So your whole theory of me being fired is so stupid. Looks as though proof is promoting my show this coming Monday evening. You're a failure and a fraud, and your little bullshit letter to the police is a fraud too. You're just a little man with nothing to do. Seems like we have not heard from you in a while. Where are you, little man? Put this pic in your stupid little blog, fraud troll.
Wow.
So, does that sound like I'm the troll?
No, not at all.
I think your audience out there can make their minds up who the troll is.
Right.
So, Donny,
Yeah,
Donny,
very
come on
trollish.
air. Come on air whenever you want to come on air and we can discuss this troll thing. More than happy to do it whenever you're ready.
I'd like to see the proof of you being a pedophile. I mean, where the hell did that come from? Who turned him on to that?
That would have really got...
I don't think he was brilliant enough to come up with that
I can tell you exactly where that came from.
Okay.
There was a guy on YouTube called Gamble Your Health who put up a challenge. He put up a $3,000 telescope outfit for anybody who could provide verifiable proof that Nibiru was coming. I thought it was such a great idea. I said I would throw in 2 Telview eyepieces. Now, we're talking eyepieces that run anywhere from $500 to $800 a piece. I was going to throw in 2 Telview eyepieces to sweeten the pot. Show us verifiable proof. Show us something that can be verified. A guy named Sangstar comes along and decides that this is some kind of a scam to get people's personal information.
Right.
And Sangstar's whole thing was, how come these people don't put up names? So I wrote him and I said, do you mean to tell me that your mother named you Sangstar 1? Did she not like you? And I was instantly blocked. Now, he went on to say that, I don't know where he got his little tidbits of information, but he went on to say that Bill Hudson was a pedophile and a child groomer. Now, Donny picked up on that, and he's now with 2012hoax.org is and a pedophile. And quite frankly, Donny better watch his step because he's walking on real thin ice because my lawyer is still looking into what could be done. So, take that one to the bank, Donny, because I'm going to tell you what, you're not going to be a happy camper.
But the whole thing about what you're saying is, it's all true. This is not some freaking bullshit. You're throwing something out there so he could get scared or anything like that. He should be scared because this is serious. You finally fucked with the wrong people.
Exactly.
It was eventually going to happen.
Yeah, like I said, not everybody out there is gullible and naive and just, lets things roll off. And
Well, here's a great example. We were in a blog back on July 1st of 2012, minding our own business, blah, 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 blah. Donny comes in. He says, show me proof of my conviction.
Ah, yes.
I've got proof. Any idiot that can go onto a web page can go onto the Minnesota State Court's web page. So that's www.pa.courts, plural, .state.mn.us. Go in there, follow their instructions, and you can look up Donny's criminal record. Donny was convicted of credit card fraud because Capital One does not send their fraud corporation after somebody who hasn't committed credit card fraud. That whole cock and baby story he came up with about how they came after him because he charged something over his limit is bullshit. Anybody who's ever had a credit card knows all they do is tack on fees and extra interest. They don't care if you go $5,000 over limit as long as you pay it back. They don't care. He committed credit card fraud. The documents in the court records say convicted. He had to serve probation. He had to pay restitution. And by the way, he was on supervised probation when he left the state of Minnesota. I wonder if they know that.
this was his mother, right?
It was against his mother. He took out a Capital One credit card, apparently, in his mother's name.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I think you'll also find that the record says conviction 4 times.
Oh, yeah. 3 of which are DUIs.
Interesting. Now, wasn't there a newspaper article that was out there?
Yes.
Yeah, the article is currently hidden. It hasn't been removed. But Donny sent some threatening. Excuse me for laughing, but he sent some threatening comments to this place to try and get them to retract the article. They're pretty laughable, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
Well, there's the typical threats, right? The typical threats that he gives everybody, basically.
Well, unlike himself, I mean, the article was written. I mean, they're not going to print something without checking the facts, especially if it's related to court procedures or criminal. You know,
The article was posted in 2008, and I mean, there is a blog site that details the article and the convictions. We'll give you that link after. You still there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. I think,
here.
Lady, you're back, right?
I'm
Yeah, she
back.
came back in.
Everyone's
Okay.
fading away. No,
That's all right.
the article was written in 2008. I think it was April the 9th, 2008. And it states that St. Paul man, Donald Ernest Gillson, had rung up over $2,500 in debt, fraudulent debt. And apparently the card was in the name of his mother. The article itself, as I say, it's been there for 5 years. When the article was made known to Donny, suddenly Donny sent these fabricated threats, threatening to sue these people for slander, libel, and saying that his mother was mentally ill and that she dropped all charges, there was no conviction, and that he lost his job at Freedomizer Radio because of it. Now remember as well that before Christmas there, he left Freedomizer Radio. Well, he got sacked, but that was before Christmas. But he post-dated these comments as 12th of April 2008 and said that he lost his job then. So basically he was lying to these people as well. Even though his comments were timestamp dated at the bottom as March the 25th, 2013, he still post-dated them as the 12th of April 2008.
Another lie that he told in response to this article, he says in the article that his doctor advised him to sever ties with his mother because of his quote-unquote major mental health issues. Now, court order in Minnesota, again, go back to the court page and look at the documents. One of the orders in his sentencing is no contact with the victims. One of the victims was his mother.
Seems to
It
me,
was-
obviously, that his mother, having pursued it as vigorous as she did, you kind of can't help but wonder if that wasn't just she had had enough. Like, that wasn't the first and only time. It was like, okay, you know,
Exactly.
you know what I mean?
And
Probably
here's the
multiple
real
times.
clicker. This one you're going to love. Donny was begging for donations all through the late summer, right up until he lost his job on September 3rd of 2012 at Freedomizer Radio. He was asking for donations on YouTube. He was asking for donations on Freedomizer Radio, on the radio blog. And surprise, surprise, on September 27th of 2012, a mail-in payment was made to his fines of $500+. What does that say to you? Common sense says...
Guilty as charged.
That's good journalism.
Common sense says he was begging his followers for money to pay his fines because he was behind on his payment schedule.
Right.
Interesting.
Amazing. Amazing, to say the least.
And this,
Now, this threatening letter that was sent to this newspaper obviously was written not by Donny Gillson himself, right? It was supposedly coming from a Freedomizer Radio type.
Oh yeah.
He used the Freedomizer. I'm sure Proof would be so ecstatic to know that he used Freedomizer Radio.
Yeah, well,
Facebook
he
login to do
he
it.
used the Freedomizer logo to make it appear as though it was part of Freedomizer. He threatened this paper with, well, he threatened to sue the paper, get his lawyers involved, so on and so forth. I mean, I'm sure Proof would be happy to know, as you say, that Donny's jeopardising Proof's position at Freedomizer. But I'm trying to find a link here. We will give you a link where you can check these comments for yourself, because albeit they've been deleted, we have them, and we would like everyone to see them.
So yeah, definitely when this information goes out, wherever this may be heard, more than likely any links pertaining to this whole interview are going to be in a description or somewhere, so you could access them easy.
Well, I wouldn't lay bets that, he would want to debate you guys or anybody that's, fact finders and truth checkers like you guys have done. I don't see him, I wouldn't bet on him wanting to come on to any show and face you guys.
He doesn't, because first of all, he has absolutely no proof of these allegations that he's made against us. Second of all of the information that we've put out that he challenged us to put out is all public information. Anybody in the world can log into that website, follow their instructions, and get that exact same information. And he can beat his chest all he wants and says, oh, well, they just wrote that stuff up because they didn't have anything else to write up. That's bull.
Right.
I work in the court system. I know how it works. They don't lie.
And basically, you guys were challenged to do it. So, I mean, he always wants to claim and stuff that, these people have so much time for little old me, and don't you have anything else better to do and stuff? But, I mean, he challenges you to do these things.
Right.
And
the stupid thing is, he challenged us to do it. But a year ago, when he had Back to Facts on Freedomizer, he actually talked about his criminal convictions on air.
Oh, yeah.
He talked about having a criminal conviction. He talked about writing, well, he always refers to it as a check in the singular, but 5 minutes later he actually admitted it was checks plural. So, he's already discussed all this on air, so why a year later deny that it exists? The reason he does so is because he's a deceitful liar. He's a manipulator.
Compulsive liar.
Yeah, he doesn't elaborate really a whole lot when he's, talking about things that he's done or places he's been.
But the problem is he can't remember his own web of deceit.
That's right.
We don't really have to do much to debunk the man because he does it himself. He is an expert hole digger.
Yeah.
He's never content digging it deep enough. He's got to go that bit further.
Yep.
Now, on that note, I found another one of Donny's really good troll comments. This is my favourite one that he sent me. Now, this was posted to me on my channel again on the 14th of May 2012, and it's Usruadams' reply to your comment. And it says, "Good luck on that one, you little bitch. I control you. That is why you're so obsessed with me, smiley face."
Wow.
So
I'm astounded by those remarks he makes. It's just totally different from what he portrays himself in the
Oh yeah, he's a good warrior of Jesus.
That's right.
Well, I can
Well, listen,
actually.
yeah, but there are worse ones than that other people have had.
Oh yeah,
I got threatened on Facebook.
that's right.
Yeah, he was going to come and get me. And then one of his little buddies says, "Oh, you're not going there." And he says, "I am so going there."
Oh,
You know,
he was going to expose you, wasn't he?
oh, he was going to put all my personal information out on Freedomizer Radio, and he's called me, pardon
you were
my
a-
French, because I hate this word with a passion. He called me a cunt. Once. I have screenshots. I know exactly what he called me.
You're breaking up again, lady.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have screenshots of everything.
Mhm.
I know what he called me.
He called it to you several times too.
Yes, he did. Several times.
All at one time.
Yes.
He sent some really disgusting stuff, especially to women. If you happen to be female, it's an easy target. You know what I mean? If you're a female, you tend to get some really horrible, very un-Christian-like communications from Minister Donny Gillson.
Oh, sure.
Sounds like he's got another side. Well, I'm sure he has many sides, but he definitely seems to have a dark side to him.
He's got an incredibly dark side, and this is the problem. He's hidden it he's been quite successful. I'll give him that. He's been quite successful in hiding it for so long. But as I say, it's a house of cards. It's slowly imploding around him.
Yeah.
Truth prevails.
Well,
Go ahead, lady.
and that's going to be his downfall, because we do have proof. We do have the truth. He doesn't like it, but we've got it. And the thing is, he can, like I said before, he can say what he will, but he has no proof of any of these allegations that he has run his mouth about. And I dare him to show it if he thinks he's got it. I dare him to show it.
Please show it. Yes.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. If, in fact, if he has proof that any of us are child groomers or pedophiles, why hasn't he gone to the authorities? Any normal human being, any concerned person, and he was obviously concerned enough to warn his listeners about this, any concerned person would have taken that information to the authorities immediately.
Yeah.
That's right.
And if you're, the last I know of, if you're a child molester, you probably have some red dot on your map or something of your residence or what. It sure wouldn't be hard to find out. Sure wouldn't be hard.
Exactly.
That's right.
He has no proof. It's just another one of his blatant lies to divert attention from himself and to target people for harassment and bullying. That's all it is. It's just another lie.
He basically wants other folk to come and attack us. That's why he says these things.
So that's why I've backed off. Really, honestly, that's why I've, not in any fear whatsoever, because there's no one that I do fear. But I just wanted to not try to tangle myself into that mess that he carries around with him, simply for that fact. I don't want the nuisance of his, minions coming after me to wreak havoc on,
Do you know who Donny reminds me of sometimes? You remember the Peanuts cartoons? They had the little character Pigpen that had the little dust of cloud, dust and clouds and dirt that followed him. Donny's like that. All of his stupid baggage is just like a big cloud of dust that just follows him everywhere.
Yeah.
He's traveled quite a bit lately.
And that's funny that you even mentioned that and stuff, because I think in his last radio show he talked about how far he has come, over these years and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, how far have you come? Where have you gone? You haven't gone. You've been running away every place you've ever gone.
Getting closer to you.
Running away from
actually,
something.
getting
closer to me. Yeah, he is down the street.
I thought he wanted to distance himself from you. You were the one riding his coattails, remember?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, no,
that's right. I wanted to be so much like him.
I thought I was riding his coattails.
Oh, you too?
Well,
You too?
yeah, and me too. I mean, after all, we're taking his research and all of his hard-earned research. Wait a minute. Research? Manipulating a sky view picture to make a flat picture into a sphere is not research.
Yeah, they were a joke. How anyone fell for that is beyond me. But then again, it's the innocence of the people that he's talking to.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. for anybody to be able to take an image and stuff. And I mean, if you, I think I even mentioned it one time on one of his shows and stuff when I was trying to get him away from embossing images and trying to say that, because you actually see people out there, they'll emboss an image and say, look, it has mass to it. It has because it adds a 3D effect and shadowing. Okay, emboss your face and see what happens. You know, put your hand out, emboss your hand.
You tried.
Look what
you
happens
tried.
to it. Jesus Christ!
It's utterly meaningless.
It is. It is.
But
But he doesn't want anybody to help him, I think. I really don't think that I don't know. Does he relish in self-destruction? And does
No,
he have
well,
some, you know, suffering illness?
The thing is, if he has someone helping him, he can't perpetrate the scam. He has to control the scam himself.
Yeah,
I mean, if we go back to the wise images, and again, I'm not an astronomer, he entered data into that system to get images. Now, imagine, for the folk out there listening, imagine the old days with a calculator where you just kept hitting the buttons. Eventually it would come up and say error. It couldn't process the data. You were punching data and it couldn't process. Donny done the equivalent with the WISE telescope. He asked the machine, or he asked the telescope, to do something it couldn't do with the data entry he was putting in. That's why he managed to get the spherical images he was getting. But he then went a step further. He took a flat image, and if you can imagine an A4 piece of paper with a grid marked on it, and he asked the machine to force that flat image. Just imagine having that flat piece of paper in front of you and wrapping it around an orange. How it would become so distorted if it had a grid marked on it. He asked the computer to do, the telescope to do exactly the same thing and force this grid around the sphere. And then he said it was the Nibiru system. That was how it flowed dynamically.
Oh.
Right?
Well,
Now that is a knowing deception. That's not a revelation through research. That is knowingly deceiving people.
Yeah,
That's
not
right.
even getting creative anymore. That's kind of just, you know.
It's desperation for an angle, but he does that with everything.
And last summer, you remember he had the big revelation of the brand new, never released pictures from WISE.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
The WISE telescope shut down in 2011. There were no new pictures.
Right.
But I think the thing that really bothered me about his manipulation of the WISE telescope, he took a picture, two pictures. One was a picture of the Skull Nebula, and WISE took pictures in infrared.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulled up this infrared picture and he said, "That's no nebula. I've seen nebula before. This looks like it's on fire." Well, of course it does. It's in infrared. That's what infrared does. The other one was, he took a picture and there were 4 stars lined up, 1, 2, 3, 4. These were his 3 systems and possibly a 4th. And all they were stars.
Right.
They were overexposed, yes. They had the little diffraction spikes on them, yes. But they were still just stars, and he claimed they were systems. It was an out-and-out manipulation, because if you went back and looked at that picture, it told you in the description, which, by the way, was always really tiny on his videos, it told you in the description exactly what star that was.
Right. Oh, yeah, and then needless to say, also pictures that are taken of space from many years back, like I think, TR, you gave an example about that. And using it as if they were just taken today, you know. That's just, again, I don't know. Is it really him, you know, trying to play people on purpose, or is it just blatant stupidity?
No. It's a deception. It's deliberate.
It is deliberate. He knows where those images came from.
Must be, if it's now, you know, 2 years ago, I would have thought what I just said. It's just maybe just lack of understanding, lack of education, not wanting to understand. But now it's because it's gone so long, and that's why we're doing this now. Is because I truly do believe that it is.
Did any of you happen to see the video that he put up here about 3 weeks ago of the light over the harbor in Long Beach?
No.
Oh, the famous sun video, the one dancing around.
Yes.
Is that the one where the lens flare goes over the sun? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He starts out and it's off to the right, and then all of a sudden it zooms over to the left.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's spinning it around, and it's on the ground, and it's, on the
Well, you know
buildings.
why.
But that's
why,
no
right?
lens flare.
No, that's no lens flare. That's called double dark theory.
It's a lie.
Double dark.
It's a lie. He's lying to people. It's pure and simple lies. That's all it is. He knows what it is. He's just lying because it makes him look important.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
Donny works to patterns, and this is the problem. He doesn't realise that we've known him long enough now that we can see them.
Yeah.
We know more or less what he's going to do. He has no angle at the moment. He needs drama. He craves attention, so he needs drama. Every time his back is to the wall or he's being exposed, he will revert to religious rhetoric. That's his ace card. He's doing that at the moment
that's the ace card.
because he has nothing else. Another thing he will do is he will have the breakdown. How sorry he is, how bad he is. He done that last year. He apologised for doing all these horrible things to everyone. Then within a week he was doing it again.
He has to rethink his spiritual travels and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's cycles. It's just cycles with Donny.
Yeah, you're right.
Whenever he wants to target someone, he will set them up first. So he will say all these bad things have happened to him about his mother, his grandmother, anything basically to get sympathy, and then he will mention names. Right?
Absolutely.
He does the same things repetitively. Now at the moment, he's going on and on and on about gang stalking, and the reason he's doing it, the troll thing didn't work, the shell thing didn't work. He put it up, or he elevated it to child grooming and pedophilia. He knows that hasn't worked. Since I've posted the open letter, it's now gang stalking. He is desperate, right? So
That's dangerous, though, to have.
The breakdown's imminent. I expect we're going to have one of these contrived breakdowns in the next 2 weeks. I mean, no doubt in his next broadcast on his radio blog, no doubt he's going to badmouth us. I mean, I expect that anyway. I'm used to it. But I do expect some sort of sympathetic,
meltdown.
trying to get sympathy by contriving a breakdown.
It's the old woe is me thing, and he has no one to blame for his woes but himself. Here's the long and the short of it. I knew about all of this information about his criminal history clear back in September of last year. I never said a word. Not a word. TR knew about it. We never said a word about it until January 6th, when he started calling us pedophiles and child groomers. You want it, Donny? You got it. I'm not going to sit still and let someone call me those horrible things when I know damn well it's not true. And how dare he? How dare he has stepped beyond the lines of decency?
Absolutely, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't stand for that. That would be the line. I agree.
What was even more infuriating was prior to that January the 6th broadcast, I was in World of Warcraft for 6 weeks. I was having a great time minding my own business. And then as soon as I come back onto YouTube, I'm a pedophile. I mean, I never done anything. So, and basically, the only reason that I can fathom that he done that was for a long time, we'd been ignoring him because he was coming out with dross. He wasn't worth debunking, right? He wasn't getting the attention. Donny needs people like us.
Well, and the other thing is, if you go back and look, you're right about he wasn't getting the attention because he put up that whole man catches the system blowing up when it was actually a weather balloon, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Nobody agreed with him. There were very few people who agreed with him. Most people said, "Oh, come on, really?"
And he was actually putting out red herrings to try and elicit some sort of attention from us, and we decided just to ignore him. He's an idiot.
Hey, Lady Harley, you're a smart woman. I don't need to ask you a question. There's public information out there, but of course, we all know they don't just post, private medical records and stuff like that. I mean, they're harder to get. Not that they're unattainable, but without knowing really his history on in a medical term, what's the title for him? What is he? What is it? Is it paranoia?
Well,
what is your?
I'm not a doctor, I don't know. The only way we could get medical records is if we had a release signed by him, because the HIPAA laws say that you cannot obtain someone's medical records without a signed release. Yeah. So we cannot, nor do I want his medical records, because they would probably keep me up nights. However,
but lady,
who is he?
Who needs
I mean, nobody.
him?
He obviously has been, deemed a liar, and that's been put out there. I don't even know who he is. I mean, everything in his past could have been created, and could be some walking psycho.
If you were going to label him, right? Now, I'm not a psychologist, but I'm intelligent enough to be able to do my own research and reach a conclusion. Now, I'm of the opinion, and this is my opinion, that he suffers from NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. It's the only thing that seems to fit the bill. I also think that's with a dash of pareidolia, because he sees things that aren't there. I do believe that.
A dash?
Yeah, without being a doctor, you're probably closer to the target.
Now, that being said, I have a letter here written by Donny, Berkeley Knight, talking about my Paxil hell. Now, Paxil, he talks about he had been on several other drugs like Wellbutrin, Prozac, Zoloft, and they put him on Paxil. Now, as he goes on in this big, long, lengthy story, he's talking about he was in an acute manic state and felt electric zaps flowing through my body, aggressiveness, nausea, scratching in my head. I thought I was channeling spirits within my head. I was going downhill very fast and didn't feel within myself. I was being closely monitored by doctors throughout the week of my manic episode and was given information, blah, 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 blah. And eventually, he wound up, apparently, let me see if this is the right one, because I don't want to misquote him.
And again, you're quoting him.
Yeah, he's
this is his letter that was published on the internet. I remember having major hallucinations, seizure-type symptoms, violent rages, major insomnia. I was in jail for almost 2 weeks.
Wow.
The reason he posted that particular Paxil Hell story, he was looking for a solicitor who could help him sue the company. Remember, Hustler.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Wow.
I guess he's trying to. He said he went to some kind of a what was it? Dream? No, something about night terrors or something. Now.
Yeah, that's his new one. He's got night terrors.
Yeah. So, but you notice that he says, "Oh yeah, I went to go get checked out for this." If he went to one of these things that you could just walk in and they pay you, to actually take medication.
Adam, he says he has sleep apnea. Right? I have sleep apnea. It's no big deal. It's a nothing.
Right.
But Donny says, pray for me.
Yeah.
It's a nothing. It's like a cold. It's a nothing.
Yeah.
He's the example of why, I'm pro Second Amendment, but I'm like, I think that people like him maybe should be not given one. Exactly. Because it's those types that go and do the crimes and go and do the shootings and, the off medication, on or God knows how many they're on, and psychotropic drugs and this and that. And well, yeah. It's like they'll be taking our guns, and then, people like him will find one and use it.
He's basically the modern day David Koresh that's got internet access. He's not as savvy as David Koresh, but just imagine David Koresh back in the 70s if he could get to the internet. That's just the modern day equivalent. But going back to the sleep apnea thing, if Donny has sleep apnea, he will be required to cure the sleep apnea. He will need a CPAP machine, and a CPAP machine retails at between in UK it's about 750 quid. So say roughly $500 to $1,000. He will need to find the money for that.
Right.
So.
It's time for donations.
Yeah, basically.
Does he have it on his website, a donation button? Or?
Yeah, he does. He has a PayPal one on something that I've seen.
He's got it on Facebook too, I think.
Wow. Well, I was going to say earlier and stuff is that, who needs to go out and look for medical records and stuff when he basically offers everything to everybody?
Yeah.
To him, it's nothing. I found this pretty just completely floored when he started talking about, him being schizophrenic and being put in a mental institution, and talk about it freely as if it happens to just everybody.
Yeah, like it's just
man.
flavor of the week.
Well,
when I was 18, I was in a mental institution too. Woohoo! It's like, what?
He has said on his show that he was in Oregon, and if I remember the story correctly, he hit a tree because Bigfoot told him to kill the tree.
No gun for you.
Now, that was the general impression I got from the statements that were made. Now, he also was arrested at one point, by his own admission, because he was standing on a street corner screaming the aliens were inside of him.
I've got a funny feeling that's got something to do with being tased.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, and you wonder why St. Paul Police Department was making sure that your well-being was okay. Hey, are you all right, buddy?
I was just reading passages from the Bible.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about St. Paul's Police Department, I was actually in communication with the St. Paul's SPPD, and we were having, it wasn't lengthy communications, but suffice to say, they were watching Donny, and they were watching him because of all the slanderous allegations he was making. Everything was unfounded.
Right.
But anyway, Donny moved on again, didn't he? As you know, he's quite nomadic when the going gets tough. So,
oh yeah.
But no, the SPPD were watching Donny. So Donny, they were watching you. That's true.
Well, since he's so close
I have
here
the
now,
email.
Adam, maybe we should. Do you think maybe he'll just walk down the street? It couldn't be far. I mean, if he wants to, redeem himself, and he wouldn't come on the show, obviously. But
I doubt it too and stuff. But you know what? Like I wrote an email to him. I mean, saying exactly that. Hey, I'm. You're in the same neighborhood now and stuff. I know. I have a feeling I know exactly where he is.
go over there and sit, say, hey, I can come out. I can actually sit down and be a guest. Not a call in. I'll do it live right next to you.
You don't have to be scared of me or anything, man. Just to hammer everything out so you could come out shining like, a million colors and stuff, and redeem yourself and shit. This will be the perfect opportunity to do it.
It would be nice.
It would be. It would be.
But he won't do it because he cannot have the control.
Oh, no,
exactly.
He's not going to voluntarily just get bombarded with truth and facts.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, this.
way back when I first got involved, I haven't been involved nearly as long as TR has, but way back when, my sole purpose was to set the record straight. He was out there telling people this planet was coming in, it was going to destroy the Earth, and he claims now, of course, he never said it was going to destroy the Earth, but I have audio of him screaming into the microphone that Planet X is coming and it's going to consume the Earth and blah, 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 blah. He was scaring people needlessly with all of this drivel. So I made a comment.
I thought he stopped with that, but maybe he picked it back up again. I don't know.
No, that was a while back.
Oh.
Yeah, we're talking back last May of last year. So, I get in there and I made one simple comment to him. I said, the constellation you're looking at is Bautes. It's not whatever he said it was. I believe he said it was Taurus, but I don't remember. And I was immediately blocked. So my only response available was to put up videos that showed that what he was talking about wasn't there. Right. It wasn't there. So
it was just to put the truth out. That's it. You found somebody who's lying. You want people. You're worried that people are going to look at this and say, "Oh my God!" And here's your proof showing that, hey, people, don't worry. This is not what this person is saying.
You're a troll.
That's all it is.
You're a troll.
And here's the big problem. I got an email on my YouTube channel from a guy who said that Donny sent him a private message. This gentleman lives in Australia. Sent him a private message when Elenin was going to come by that he better get to higher ground because there was going to be a big disaster. There were going to be tidal waves. It was going to be all kinds of horrible, awful things happen. He needed to get to higher ground. This man took every dime he had, took his family up into the hills in the outback in Australia. He even went so far as to buy poison pills so that if things got really bad, his children wouldn't have to suffer with this. Come to find out, nothing happened. He got home, and they went without food for 3 days because Gillson told him to head for higher ground, and he believed him. Now,
oh, thank you for adding that, lady. I forgot all about that story.
You tell me that he's not hurting people.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is that man was brave enough to come forward. I remember when that happened. Just think about all the people who have done things because of Gillson, and they're ashamed that they've done them.
Yeah, exactly.
And they remain quiet.
And I have this guy's emails to this day. Anybody wants to see him, I'll be happy to provide him.
Right.
No, he is dangerous. I mean, I don't care what he says. He's dangerous, and he needs to be stopped. I mean, one thing people out there can do is they can start asking him questions.
Yeah.
Just ask. Yeah, no, just go on his Facebook page, ask him a question.
Right.
Chances are you'll get blocked.
Yep.
That will answer your question.
Maybe he thinks for every one he loses, he'll gain 3 more with some other fairy tale and hook 3 more.
Yeah, remember when the guidelines
at the
were...
moment his numbers are dropping, and he loves his numbers.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he brags about them enough, right?
But that's all people have to do is ask him a question. If he says something is fact, challenge him. Ask a simple question. Don't take...
Go ahead, TR.
Yeah, I was just going to say, don't take it at face value. Just ask a simple question. Just like the question I asked, why do you keep telling people the sun's going the wrong way in Antarctica?
Right.
A simple question.
Yeah. I recall that at first it used to be he used to block people because they were using derogatory language, calling them a a-hole, calling them a dumbass, calling them this, so he would block those people.
Yeah.
And then later it turned into, well, if you disagree with me, I'm going to block you. And that's just it, If you disagree with me, I'm blocking you.
Yeah, and anybody that would ask a question against anything he was saying, you're automatically blocked.
Yeah, it's so sad.
But if you capitulate, then you're a brother or a sister, or it's just...
It's important information to get out there. It really is, because in this movement now for the truth, and people are waking up to things that other things going on around them in the world.
More so now than 2 years ago, that's for sure.
I mean, more so, yeah.
But one of the things that does make me angry, right? Donny always goes on about atheists and this sort of thing. I'm a pantheist. I'm a practicing scientific pantheist. So you can go and Google that, right? I'm quite spiritual by nature, right? Mm-hmm. I'm also into conspiracy theory. Have been for 25 years. Mm-hmm. I believe in interventionism. I don't believe in the moon landing. I believe in a lot of things that a lot of people out there believe in. But Donny fails to mention that. Yeah. I'm a troll and a shill. Well, if I was a troll or a shill, I wouldn't believe in interventionism. I wouldn't believe in that the pyramids could produce energy, that kind of thing. If you go and look at my Calantheus Flipside channel, it discusses a whole range of conspiracy theories. But it's unsullied by Donny Gillson, and it shall remain unsullied by Donny Gillson. It's real people talking about real conspiracies, the pro side and the con side, so that people think about these issues.
The other thing is, if you notice, he's got this very strange mixture of religious beliefs. TR touched earlier on how when he gets backed into a corner, he starts spouting Bible verses. But he also uses a lot of pagan terms, blessed be, so mote it be, on and on and on. And then he gets online and he slams pagans. He one night said that he was ousting the Masons because they attacked him and they were all evil Kabbalists and Satan worshippers.
That's right.
It's just who's on Donny's shit list this week,
Exactly.
The other thing is...
predicted me.
Nitwit minister... This nitwit minister that gets on there with him. I mean, Donny's talking about automatic writing. Do you know how anti-Christian that is?
I know.
That's not a Christian thing. That's completely opposite.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Donny was just dabbling in the dark arts. It's okay.
Yeah, but I mean, listen,
He's
it's
experimenting.
not Donny just can't have it at automatic writing. He also has to speak in tongues.
Yes.
Oh, that's
On
right.
cue.
On cue.
cue.
On cue.
You know, it can't be just one thing. It's got to be several.
And the other thing is, if you listen to him long enough, you'll notice he one-ups everybody.
Yeah, but well, remember he also claimed on air that he's God.
Yes, he did.
That's right.
He did indeed. And then said he was just joking. They were laughing. He wasn't laughing. He was.
He
serious.
screamed, "I am God! I am
heard
God!"
that. Yeah, I remember that. That was kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we may include that in this broadcast, this stuff when it goes out. So there may be.
He also
a
spoke
bunch of
in
other
tongues in
tidbits.
that same piece of audio, I might add.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
On cue.
I know he did. I know he did on the show that I did when I had Zombie on, but somehow, and I didn't realize it till just recently, that show was deleted out of the Freedomizer database. My own show was deleted without me knowing. So
Interesting.
Well,
Yeah,
and
just
here's
to say
another thing, you know, he goes on about the trolls all the time, and he supposedly wrote this letter to Proof resigning and saying, you know, and he mentioned us all by name. He mentioned Pharaoh, he mentioned TR, he mentioned me by name. Don't let these people back on the network, they'll bring it down. Well, here's a problem. Donny says that we trolled his radio show. I never trolled his radio show. I've never said one word in his radio show.
I'm
Not
in
what?
bed. I'm asleep
He
for the broadcasts.
Yeah.
I have no intention of sitting up to 6 in the morning to listen to him rant like a lunatic.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know, he goes on and on about all these different little things about religion and this and that and something else. And please, Donny, stick with religion and leave the science and astronomy to people who really studied it.
there you
Please. I beg you, please.
And get this, and this is no way, shape, or form in his defense, but I've heard him say it before, but he'll just say to you guys, he'll say, well, you know, why are they listening? Or why are they, you know, because he's gonna spin it like that, you know.
Of course,
I've
yeah.
got a feeling he's gonna spin it and say all of us are just secret admirers and that we're just,
Well,
you know.
That's fine.
Why are we obsessed?
That's
Yeah,
fine. But
yeah.
again, I would say to the people listening, if someone was calling you a pedophile on air, you not think you would be listening to.
Yeah.
And
You
here's
you would want to know what's being said about you.
And here's my response to that. Donny, why are you listening?
Exactly.
There you go.
Well, look, guys, we've been on for a while and stuff. I'm sure we could go on another couple of hours if we really wanted to. I'll give you guys the opportunity, lady, if you have any closing statements.
Well,
Feel free.
the only closing statements I've got is I want to see where he studied astronomy. I want to know what kind of equipment he uses. I want to know what kind of stacking equipment he uses when he stacks his pictures. I want to know what kind of a CCD camera he uses, because I'm going to tell you right now, you cannot take deep space pictures with a digital camera from Walmart. It doesn't work. I want to know where he was taught to interpret WISE and Skyview data. I want to know where he got his information that we're pedophiles. Show me the proof, Donny. I want to see it. I want to be able to see this stuff in writing from credible sources.
Might be waiting a while on that one. On that
Yeah,
list.
I'm not going to hold my breath.
What about you, TR?
Yeah, well, I just want to speak to Donny directly, if that's okay. Donny, I want to address you directly now. I also want everyone out there listening to this broadcast to hear what I have to say. Toward the end of 2011, I civilly asked you why you were deliberately lying to folk by telling them the sun was going the wrong way down in Antarctica. It was a simple, straightforward and courteous question. However, rather than respond with an honest answer, you resorted to a tactic that we have all come to expect. You immediately blocked me from any further opportunity to comment. In fact, during my entire association with you on YouTube, I was blocked from commenting on any of your channels. You made sure that I could never exercise any right to reply. On the other hand, I firmly believe in the right to free speech, and to that end I never blocked you. As you and I both know, you were more than happy to take advantage of this situation. Consequently, I have copies of all the abusive comments and personal messages that you excreted on my pages. Furthermore, when I uploaded my very first video to YouTube, which highlighted the fact that you were clearly massaging imaging data to deliberately fool your followers, you immediately filed a perjury and copyright claim to have it blocked from public view and direct attention away from the fact that you were nothing more than a manipulative hustler. This, as you know, was the first of 10 false and malicious perjury and DMCA claims you filed against me to try and prevent further damaging exposure as a nefarious charlatan. Again, as you know, each of these copyright claims were overturned and all videos were eventually restored. Now, having assumed that you had severed all my avenues to respond, you then abused your position as a so-called professional broadcaster by going on air and telling folk a whole load of lies about me. Since then, I have been subjected to a continuous abusive campaign of bullying and harassment. In addition to numerous other attempts to block my YouTube content, you have called me a troll, a stalker, a shill, a government-paid agent, and on several occasions you have stated that you have the proof to back up your claims. Given that this convenient name-calling hasn't worked thus far, you have since plummeted to the depths of desperation by suggesting that I and others are part of a child grooming pedophile network. In the last few days, in a further act of desperation, you are now trying to suggest that I and others are gang stalkers. Well, the time has come to present your evidence. You have made repeated claims that you have seen proof or that you are in possession of documentary evidence. You have repeatedly stated over the last year that you are going to expose me. I quote, "I will always be a success of exposing your ass." Don Adams, September 30th, 2012. Not only am I still waiting, I am now giving you the opportunity to do so. My offer still stands. As I said in my open letter to you, I have no intention of ever giving you the ability to control proceedings by appearing on your radio blog. However, I will be more than happy to do a live show with you elsewhere and with a neutral chair. That way you will not be able to abuse your position in the same way you have in the past. Your odious treatment of Back to Facts stands as the perfect case in point. With a neutral chair, your ability to manipulate, mute and direct proceedings will be removed. That way we can deal with the issues at hand and get to the truth. Again, as I said in my open letter to you, I will present any relevant documentary evidence to the chair. That way, as proceedings move on, they can offer any necessary verification as and when required. Likewise, you can present your evidence that proves that I am a troll, and I will submit all my recorded evidence that suggests otherwise, and that it is in fact you who are the troll. You can also present your evidence that proves I am a shill. I must admit I'm curious myself as to what government you're actually referring to, and I'm sure the listeners are too. Now, turning to your more desperate allegations, given that I have already asked you to contact the police regarding the allegations of child grooming and paedophilia, and nothing seems to have happened thus far, let me be clear. I demand that you contact the police and pass on this information, unless, of course, it's just more lies. If, as you say, you have information or that you have seen information that suggests this particular allegation to be true, then I find it morally reprehensible that thus far you have not bothered to contact the authorities. Nevertheless, you made the claim, therefore I demand that you publish your proof so that we may all see it. You say you have it, so publish it. So, Donny, the ball is in your court, as they say. You're the one who has repeatedly made these claims, and all the while stating that you have the evidence. I, on the other hand, have remained silent throughout, never uttered a word, never had the luxury to go on air to repeatedly badmouth anyone. All I have done is try to defend myself through video uploads in the face of slanderous abuse and continued harassment. Well, now you know I have a voice, and I intend to use it. I have always stated that I will vigorously defend myself. It wasn't a joke. Yours, TR. Thank you.
It's well put.
That was very well done, TR. I appreciate that. Sam, what about you, brother? You got anything to say?
Well, after that, I don't know. TR.
I know.
and that's worthy of a response from Donny. I believe that's very worthy of response, and to be, that's all he has to do. And
right.
So we'll see. I mean, we shall see.
That's about all we could do now is sit and wait and see who gets the slanderous emails or I'm sure I'm going to get called out on this just because.
Oh yeah, he'll directly
I
send
did
his spokesman to
I did
address
it.
you.
I did it back. Yeah, exactly. I did it back in the day and stuff. Had to call them on not allowing people to say what they had to say, and I'm going to be called on it again, I'm sure. But again, this is all just so the truth could be out there. That's what's most important above all, is that the facts are truly out there, and this is not just one-sided. So,
All your toxic reality.
Well,
definitely toxic.
Thank you, Adam and Sam, for giving us the opportunity to say what we needed to say. I do appreciate it.
Oh,
Yes,
You're very welcome.
thank you very much. It was nice to actually be on a real show. Thank you.
There you
Thank
go. There you go. Yeah, thank you so much. Now, whether Donny takes up on this, I said I'll put it out there. You want to come on here and do it? Hey, I'll be fair. I'm not an asshole, okay? If you have, we could do it however we want to do it. Give you 10 minutes to speak. Give TR 10 minutes to speak. Everybody puts things out on the table. I'll be more than happy to be fair.
Yeah, we'll be silent and listen to both.
Exactly. Just whatever. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys. Again, I appreciate you guys being on here, and we'll be talking soon.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
So
Thank you.
all right.